Martin Hibbert and his daughter Eve suffered life-changing injuries during the Manchester arena bombing in 2017. But a year later, things took an unexpected turn when a conspiracy theorist claimed that that night's tragic events didn't happen.
Martin took him to court seeking damages for these claims and to stop him from making further allegations. We're going to speak to Martin in just a moment.
And Martin joins us now. Martin, goodness me.
Morning, Martin.
Even when you hear the details of the horrific night at the Manchester Arena, it sends chills. And you spoke to the programme and you've spoken to us and you've done so much work campaigning and you've been through so much. The idea that this could even be possible is devastating. And as that report said there, it was after an interview done on this programme that it has got to tell us why.
Yeah, so it was with you and Charlotte. So it was, I think it was May, June 2018, and I'd come down with one of my friends, Lee, and we were being driven back home. And he said, oh, look at this. And it was something on YouTube. And at the time, I just kind of laughed it off, and I just thought, you know, I must be, if I've got a conspiracy theorist kind of doubting kind of what I'm doing, my life at that time was just, you know, I was just about to do the great run in Manchester. I'd just come back from Australia. That's why you were interviewing me.
Yeah.
I'd got my legs moving, and my life, you know, I'd only been out of hospital 6 months, so my life was going at 100 miles an hour, which is still the case today. But I kind of just laughed it off. But it was actually...
Not thinking it was in any way serious or credible, you know, or threatening.
No, but again, I've said all along, where I grew up and the time I grew up, it was a different time, and it was sticks and stones, and I can take it, you know what I mean? But it was actually when I was giving evidence during the inquiry, which was a really tough time. My PTSD was bad, and I'd just seen the still images of what had happened to me and Eve before, during and after. I was there with my best friend, Steve. So to see that, and then one of the police officers said, look, we need to go and see Eve and her mum. But they wouldn't tell me what it was about, and they just said, look, what you've seen today, we don't want to discuss it with you. You'll have to speak to Eve's mum. And then she rang me and said, you'll never guess what. It's that Richard Hall, he's videoed Eve outside the house and put it on his YouTube or his website. And I remember saying at the time, I think I knew then why God had put me in a wheelchair, and I don't say that very lightly. I just couldn't believe it. But at that time, obviously, I was in an inquiry, which was very difficult. I'd just announced on here a couple of months before I was going to climb Kilimanjaro. I was raising £1 million for the charity that had supported me. I had a lot going on. So to then, when I sat down with my legal team, they just said, look, to do this, you're going to have to put a lot of time and effort into it, and we think you've got too much on. So the decision was made to kind of stop it, even though it hurt, because it was somebody attacking the most precious thing in my life, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I did nothing. I kept my dignity, and I knew that, you know, I would get my time. And it's been difficult to have to sit there and listen to his absurd rhetoric and everything that he talks about. But as we saw yesterday, the judge saw through it. And, you know, what he said in his judgment yesterday, you know, I came down today with a big smile on my face, even though I had to get up at 2 o'clock. And, you know, I'm not celebrating. I'm a big believer in, you know, you don't blow out a candle because it doesn't make yours shine any brighter, you know. So there's no gloating, there's no celebrating, you know. But what he needs to realise, and he'll be watching, that he's attacked the most precious thing in my life. And there will be a painful lesson, and he will learn that very shortly. And that's all I'll say on that.
Martin, talk us through that process, though, because, of course, you've shared your story with us.
Yes.
We all know what happened that night.
Yes.
We've seen news reports. We've spoken to other family members and victims of this. But to have this case being heard in court where you have to go and justify, to prove what you've been through, you had to prove that Eve was your daughter.
Yeah, that was the one that hurt the most. And when my legal team had to ring me to ask for that, they knew that that would hurt the most.
So you had to send her
I had to send her birth certificate to prove that I was her dad.
Because they were alleging
that we weren't related. He thinks that I'm an actor, we're both actors, that we weren't there on the night,
right.
That I've not got a spinal cord injury, or that we got our injuries. I think he thinks that we're in a car crash or something like that. But when I was in the High Court last week with my friend had to grab my arm because I was shaking, because I had to listen to him for an hour and a half, you know, talk the drivel. And it's not just about me. I know a lot of the deceased families, you know, so to say that, you know, their children, their husbands, their wives, their sons, their daughters are alive and are living abroad, I can't let it happen, and I won't let it happen. So I'm not just doing this for me. I'm doing this for Eve, firstly. No one messes with my daughter. So there's that, and he'll understand that. You know, I don't take prisoners, and he's gonna feel the full force of that. And I hope he's watching, because I've not spoke about it. This is the first time that I've spoke about it. And you can probably tell I get emotional, but you know, he's gonna learn a very painful lesson, and I won't take prisoners, and he's got to be ready for that.
We need to be careful with what you're suggesting. I mean, obviously, you're talking about sort of legal recourse,
yes,
with regards to what he's put you through.
Yes.
So what are your plans for that?
So obviously, this is the first judgment. So I'm going to be getting together with my legal team now, and we'll have another hearing, and then there'll be a trial. But obviously, the judgment yesterday, you know, stops him from being able to use it as a platform to talk about his conspiracy theories about that the arena attack was a government conspiracy, that nobody died, that it was a training exercise. It literally now focuses on why we're suing him, which was misuse of private information, harassment and data protection breaches. So it literally concentrates it on that now. So that's what we're going to be going forward with now. And we're just waiting for dates and things like that. So we're just waiting for diaries and things like that.
And I know you've spoken to Andy Burnham,
yes,
the Mayor of Manchester, to talk actually on a broader terms about potentially a law to change the reality of this for people. Yeah, so
I spoke with Andy when probably a couple of years ago about it, and I've also spoke to my legal team as well, so they're going to help. So we said about, you know, if we are successful, then if we can make it a criminal offence for, you know, people that are in terrorist attacks, or because it's not just focused on me. It's like the Westminster Bridge attacks,
yes,
the Madeleine McCann cases. He does it on everything. So to make it a criminal offence to turn up at somebody's house uninvited, to video them, to put cameras outside the house in the garden, to make that a criminal offence, it'll be tough to, as we've seen, you know, I know Figan Murray very well, and obviously she's fighting to get Martin's Law. Yeah. So I know what it takes to even get to where she is today. But you know me now that, so, you know, when I get something in my head, I see it through to the end. So hopefully we will do that, and hopefully if I can have Andy's backing and my barristers and the legal team, then hopefully it'll make a huge difference, so others don't have to go through what we've been through.
Well, it's awful that you've had to go through it. You have such a spirit. How are you doing, and how's your daughter doing? Yeah,
I'm doing well. Eve had a bit of a rough year last year, so again, I never get to talk about it, and that's something that he said, that because we don't talk about Eve in the media and we don't put her in social media, we're trying to hide something. We're not. She's got enough to deal with. You know, she was in hospital 6 times last year. She suffered another seizure a week before Christmas. You know what I mean? So unless you're close to me, like a lot of my friends and family, you don't see that.
Sure.
You know, we don't. It's not something you put on Instagram or...
to protect her, not to hide something.
But he thinks that we're trying to hide something, or that we're lying about something. We're not. She's got enough to deal with on a daily basis without having to deal with this. So it's more of a protection.
Of course, we can understand that. Martin, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
You will be back, I hope, and we can talk further.
For the trial.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us this morning, and continued sort of recovery to you and Eve as well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
wonderful.
You.